Welcome to The Shield, your all-access pass to everything Spartan football. Each week we bring you inside the huddle, behind the stats, and onto the field with the Rochester Mayo Spartans. From game highlights and player spotlights to in-depth interviews and strategic breakdowns, we celebrate the grit, pride, and tradition that defines Spartan football. This isn't just about touchdowns, it's about heart, hustle, and the legacy we defend every Friday night. Strength, pride, purpose. This is The Shield. Hello, Spartan football fans, and welcome to this episode of The Shield. I am the host, Rob Cawthorn, joined by always head coach Donnie Holcomb, and behind the camera we have the main man Bodie back there. This is the JM Rocket episode, and as always, if you want to help support what we're doing here with The Shield or with our live stream, please reach out to us either through Gmail. We'd love to have a show sponsor, or we'd love to put you out on the live stream as well. So, or hit up our Forgiving, and you can just feel free to donate there and just tell that you want it to go to the Shield or whatever you would like to use it for. We would love to have the support so we can keep doing the things that we enjoy doing here. So, Coach, here we are. Oh, Coach has got something to say.
Shout out to Success Lab.
Shout out to Success Lab.
Our Success Lab kids. We watch us every Thursday.
Oh, there you go.
Yep. So shout out to you while we're watching it.
Thank you for being I'm hoping that they will subscribe. We need to get the subscriber count up, and then also, and that's for anybody that might be watching, please subscribe. We would love to have the subscriber count up.
In fact, I've had a couple students that I didn't even know followed football say that they've watched this.
Sweet.
On their own, so it's getting.
And I hear every week, whether it's at a road game or a home game, people come up to me and say that they appreciate the show and that they think that you do a great job. So
me,
yeah, you're the star.
No,
I mean, hands down the star. So it's actually Bodie who does. Yep. He makes us look so good. So, all right, Coach, let's talk a little bit about Century. So kind of what I jotted down here is I said the tale of two halves, which has kind of been a little bit typical of Mayo football so far this year. This one's been a little bit different. Went into halftime with probably a little bit closer than everybody wanted it to be, except the Panthers, and then came out the second half and kind of flipped some sort of switch. So, but those slow starts are still kind of haunting us, just in general, talk a little bit about that. I mean, you guys have such great weeks of practice. We hear the boys talk about it week after week after week. We've had great weeks of practice. We're super focused. And then, to use your metaphor, the car kind of stalls. Talk a little bit about that from a coaching standpoint.
I mean, that's the frustrating part is we have a plan all week long, and then we come into the game and we don't execute. So with that plan, we've got to change it. And that's what we did during the game, is just kind of went back to our bread and butter formation and what we feel the kids do well, and they took over without making mistakes. It's not to say that anything else that we were going to do didn't work, but if we don't execute and catch the ball, then it takes that element away, and we need to go away from it. Not that we don't have the kids to keep doing it. It's just we got to be smart for the team, and it shows when we just get after it and don't do anything special that we didn't waste any opportunities in the second half like we did the first.
Yeah, you kind of brought it up a little bit about, the passing game and some of the drops and stuff. So, this was definitely, a game where that wasn't clicking. It just wasn't, like you said, it's kind of, been the Spartans' bread and butter a little bit, but it just wasn't clicking. But it must have felt pretty good to kind of, have that run game get going and when you can, really drain the clock and really kind of work on some morale beats, having some 13-play drives yourself, for this game. Talk a little bit about how that felt to get the run game moving in the right direction.
They gain confidence, and I think that's huge for them. And then when they just realize they're executing clean, and then that's what they can do. And it's not like it was perfect. I'm sure there's plays that we either out-muscled them or, they were more tired than we were, so things weren't perfect, but that's part of the game too. And it's fun. It's fun to be able to see them reap the benefits of lifting weights in the off season and being strong when we can put our mind and our body together.
So going into this game, we talked a lot about, first time playing a crosstown team in 2 years and kind of all that went with it. And you also know college football, grew up in Wisconsin, huge Badger fan, so they have their trophy games. Every college has their trophy games. But just talk a little bit about what is it about an old round jug that means so much to these kids.
I mean, when they first brought that thing out, I didn't think it was going to work. I thought this is cool, but it's just the idea of, I think one of the kids said, whoever is the best team in town, and they take pride in that and the community around that school. So the kids get excited playing for it, and it's a cool thing. I just want to see us play to our ability and show the program that we are. And if we do that, we'll be able to take a jug home as well.
Yeah, and I think some of it just always has to do with, just as, as players and as athletes, you just always want to feel you're playing or competing for something that's bigger than you, that's even bigger than your team. And so I think, having, this jug or this whatever it could have been, I think just adds, a little bit to it. And now that it's here, I don't, ever see it going away. And I think it'll be, cool, when we're, much, much older than we are now. And, to be able to see that it's still around and teams are still trying to vie for it. I think it's a pretty cool thing that, that got started, years and years ago.
Yeah.
So.
And it's chained. It's chained up now in Mr. Christopher's office. I'm dead serious. So we don't have to be worried about it getting stolen if it's not earned.
Yeah.
So,
there you go. Each week there's certain aspects where you guys are continuing to get better, on both sides of the ball. But what are some of those things that stood out to you this week where you saw the Spartans get a little bit better?
I wanted to say penalties, but we still had 7 of them. And we had 3 personal fouls. That a couple were iffy, but still they got called. So not penalties, but I mean, I guess the consistency in the second half was better from offense, and then to be able to match it on defense and eventually be able to wear them down. I mean, those were definite improvements. And then even looking through our weekly goals as an offense, defense, special teams, and add it all up as a program, we're a lot better than any game. So we made improvement, even if it's just a quarter's, better improvement. It's taken steps in the right direction.
Yeah, I think, getting, like I think you said, I mean, there's certain things that you can take away, whether it's building confidence or, having an understanding of how to effectively run plays and that kind of stuff that, offensively can do. And then, I think defensively just saw at certain times, I mean, once again, there was, a mistake here, a mistake there, but it was just kind of nice to see, once again, like you said, the consistency from both sides of the ball to feel like that they were making, strides, in that direction. So, last one about Century. So we also kind of talked a little bit about, the familiarity with, the coaches and kind of how all that goes into it. When you play a game like this, when you have it, it's, somewhat lopsided towards the end, and saw a little bit of Coach, Vic's comments in the paper, that he felt that we were just more physical than they were. What is kind of, I'm sure there's not a lot of exchange going through the handshake line, but when you are doing that, or, maybe if it's a day after you see them, somewhere at a store or something like that, it's different than when you play Northfield or New Prague. You're not going to run into those guys. But what are some conversations, you guys, once the games are over, that you have with some of those, coaches that, live in the same town that you do?
I mean, we're not enemies in any way. And we're both intelligent enough to know that it comes and goes, and we're in a really good place right now, and our kids have put us in that spot. But I was really impressed with their line, even to start out the first half. I thought their offensive line did a nice job. Their quarterback did a nice job moving the ball with his feet, and they dropped a sure touchdown down the middle of the field. And then if Danny doesn't pick that ball off right before half, I mean, they could have went up, right?
I think they would have went up. Yeah. It would have been 14-14 then, depending on if they kicked or went for the 2-point conversion or something.
So, I mean, for a half, they're right there. Yeah. We were even.
Yeah, and like I said, it's, once again, it just another way that the Spartans have found to win, and I think that's, for me, that's been the very interesting thing is these 3 wins we've had, they've all come in different formats, but the boys have found ways to win, and if you can keep that mentality going, that we're just going to continue to find ways to win. They might not be the best ways, but we're still finding ways to win.
Absolutely.
So.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, stick around. We're going to come back with our senior leader, Lincoln Majerus, and the couple of teammates that he invited right here on the Shield.
Sets up 3rd and 2 here for the Panthers from the right hash. Man in motion. Little jet sweep. Ooh, Lincoln Majerus beat his block, and he gets a big-time stop for the Spartans.
Hello and welcome back to the Shield. It's the time of the show now where we get to meet a few of the players and talk to them about the game and the upcoming game as well. So this week we have senior leader Lincoln Majerus. And Lincoln, I'm going to let you introduce who you brought with you this week.
Yeah, my name is Lincoln Majerus, and to my right here I brought Noah Hagan, senior, and to my left Xavier Adams, sophomore.
Awesome. Well, guys, thanks for being here. Let's start talking a little bit about Century. So we'll kind of talk a little bit about that. And one of the things I jotted down is, you guys kind of, you kind of been so far this season like the tale of 2 halves. And for so far, the first 4 games, it was always kind of did a little bit better in the first half and then let teams kind of scratch their way back in the second half. But this one was kind of the opposite. At least from a fan standpoint, it was a lot more relaxing, at least at the end of the game than it has been in the past. But talk a little bit about those 2 halves. You played the first half, was really close, going to halftime. What were some of the things you guys talked about as teams and maybe as seniors, there at halftime to then come out with the mentality that you guys did in the second half?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we kind of, before the games of Century, we always kind of lost that in the second half. But we came out really strong against Century. And then, we let up a few big plays, and then, our kind of momentum slowed down, and then they scored and then went into halftime. But I think the biggest thing going into halftime, we made a few adjustments. But then, like earlier in the week, we had made a plan where we'd call plays off of a play card that was on our wrist. That ended up not working. So we changed a few things. So I think the biggest thing was just trusting in the coaches and the adjustments that we made, and it ended up paying off. So that was huge, and I feel like that's why we ended up putting up 50 points at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that everyone was just nervous. Crosstown rival, we haven't played them in 2 years. So everyone was nervous, tensions were high. So when we got back into the locker room halftime, everyone was just like, calm down, take a deep breath, and reset, and come out strong in the second half.
I agree with what these two said. I'd say going into halftime, like in the locker room, we didn't as much need to get fired up or hyped up. Everyone kind of knew like shouldn't be this close. Just got to lock in, and they're not better than any team we've played, and we have the best team in 5A in Minnesota. So, they don't have any better guys than we do.
Yeah, and so, talked a little bit about that first half. And so, once again, I think a lot of the themes throughout the shows have been, it's not the other team. It's more what we're doing to ourselves to kind of help. And so that first half, there were some mistakes, whether it was, on offense or defense, there were still some mistakes happening. So what is it that you guys, because as I talked to Coach Holcomb before, I said, this team just seems to have, a pretty even keel about them. They don't get too high with the highs, and they don't get too lows with the lows. But when those mistakes are happening, especially in a crosstown rival game where, like Noah said, the tensions are high, what are you guys doing on the sidelines talking to each other to make sure it's just short memory, let's go out and kind of move on to the next play?
I feel like the huge thing is in trusting the coaching. We know we have good players that can execute. So, everyone makes mistakes at the end of the day. So, like, some of our players do take mistakes pretty hard, but, the coaching is just calm us down, put us in better spots to kind of make those plays. And then at the end of the day, trusting your ability and trusting your brothers that they're going to make the plays. So at the end of the day, I just feel like it's all about trust and that bond we have as a family.
Yeah, for sure. I think trusting the coach is a big part. And it's not always bad to say, hey, coach, I need a breather. I need to come out of the game. Because our backups, our twos, they're really good as well. So we need to trust in everyone that's on the field at all times, and that's how we can play our best.
In the game, on the sideline, you just got to remember you can only control your actions and how you're playing. Your brothers, they're going to know what they're doing. So it's really up to you. You just have to know what you're doing, do your job. And I mean, that's how you're going to win football games. Everyone just does their job, and it's going to work out how it's planned.
All three of you guys play pretty key roles on both sides of the ball, so both going both ways. But talk a little bit about how when the run game is kind of going the way that it was going Century, you kind of got that going and everything was kind of clicking in the run game. How does that help, both sides of the ball? I mean, it helps, I know offensively, but from a defensive standpoint, when your running game's going like that, how does that help, you guys on both sides of the ball?
For me, it's a relief, finally that we can finally have, that run game back. It just takes a little bit of stress off of our pass game. So, you'll have two things to go to now instead of one. Like we can't always rely on the pass. So just have that run game, have that be strong and sturdy. As games moving forward, that builds our confidence as a team to know that we have something to go to, not always just the pass.
I agree totally. I was going to say the same thing. It's relieving overall knowing that we don't have to rely on the pass for a big play now that we got a run game going. And on defense, we don't need to worry about like making a big stop, getting a 3 and out. We can kind of play our game and our tempo on defense as well.
I think it's really nice. In previous games, the teams knew like if they know they're stopping a run, they're really not worrying about run, and so that just leaves us only to pass. Which I mean, I feel like they really can get around it, and so it just makes it a whole lot easier to score, put points on the board, which leaves a big momentum and big plays.
So you guys got to keep the jug, at least for 1 week now, so that was pretty cool. But in order to sweep the city, which I know is something important to everybody on the team, that's what, and you guys have already had a practice and some stuff already this week, but what's the mindset going to be like, for practice this week?
Keep the same mentality as we had for Century, I think the Mayo and JM rivalry is a big thing to go down in history for all of Mayo football. It's like that big crosstown rival match from years. I think you were talking about from like the 1960s. So it's like a huge thing. So I think that just makes the game special and just drives us players to work even harder in practice just to keep that jug and keep that history going.
I agree. I think the mentality is dominate all week during practice, lifting, film, whatever it is. And then coaches keep talking about it's big for the alumni, and the stands are going to be packed, and everyone's going to be watching this game this week, and it's going to be a fun game.
Yeah, I mean, I've never gotten to play in crosstown rival like this against JM or Century, so it's going to be fun for the first time. I know we really just got to go into it thinking they're not just going to let us walk all over them. We really got to take it to them, and I know our offense and defense can do that.
Yeah, a couple of you guys already briefly talked a little bit about it, as far as the ambiance and the history behind it. But, I agree. I think it's going to be a pretty packed game, I would guess, whether it's just our sidelines or not. I think it's still going to be a pretty packed game. And Lincoln, you talked about it. It is the oldest rivalry, that exists in town, But now you guys get to be a part of it. So just talk a little bit about briefly for you personally, what does being involved in that history of that Mayo JM rivalry mean to each one of you?
I mean, it's an honor to me because now I know I get to go down in like Mayo's history. I get to say, oh, I was a part of that rivalry. I got to experience that, play, and win. So I feel like it's just an honor to me that I get to wear that.
I agree. Continue the legacy. It seems like a really big deal to everyone in the Mayo community. So I think winning this game, I think Coach Holcomb said we were down in the series of them 20 games to 24 losses. So it'd be nice to get one back this week.
Yeah, I mean, I've obviously never played in one, so I mean, it'd be cool. 2-3 years ago, I was watching the varsity play JM and Century. So I mean, getting to beat them, it's gonna be an unreal experience.
Well, guys, now we're going to kind of shift gears, ask you some questions. This is kind of the fun part of what we do with you guys to get to know each one of you a little bit better, or maybe what you might think of some of your teammates. So try to keep these top secret as the week goes on, because I know I do get asked sometimes about the questions, and so I do try to keep them away from certain parts of your teammates. All right, first one. What has been your least graceful moment on the football field?
Ooh, we were kind of talking about it today, but for me, I think every game except for one, I had a personal foul call. So that was just kind of a funny moment for me.
I think last game I had a drop where I bobbled it like 3 times, so that wasn't very graceful of me.
I think one where I got tackled in Northfield and the guy completely turned me over on my back.
All right, second one. What's the absolute weirdest thing you've ever found in your locker or your football bag?
I don't know. I think
PG, Lincoln.
I don't know if anything. I always would find like clothing that I've been missing for like months, and it just all of a sudden turn up after the season. They start cleaning lockers, so just any old clothing is just kind of interesting.
In the bottom of my locker one time, I did find a rotten banana that has probably been in there for a long, long time.
I mean, a couple of times I found Vaseline on my lock, so I couldn't open my locker.
All right. Which teammate is the most likely to wind up in a profession as a stand-up comedian?
Your son, BC, always likes to think he's funny, even if he's not. Sometimes I feel like I could see him doing that.
I agree. I think either BC or Loomis could either. Both of them could.
Yeah, definitely BC, or I'd say Patrick. He's pretty funny.
All right. What's yours? And I asked this before to everybody, but what's your superstition or ritual you have before a game?
I kind of keep things simple, but I always find myself before games, like before a game, I'll usually have a PD light, a Celsius, and then a Gatorade, always before game time. And then I'm always like listening to Drake, who was my favorite artist. So
I always have headphones in. I usually stay pretty quiet and always.
What? Come on, it's a huge shocker.
I
What?
know.
Come on.
And I always hug my dad before the kickoff.
Okay.
I'd say I always put on the right side of everything. So I strap up my pads on the right side first. I put on my right sock, and not my right cleat though. Left cleat first always.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Well, that's what works for you. All right. If you could pick a teammate to put in the Sparty costume to get the crowd going, who would it be?
Mason Hinchley for sure.
Yep. Big Hinch.
Definitely Big Hinch.
All right. What is a non-football skill you've learned just from being around the team?
I'd say, especially being around us seniors, being level-headed and not letting, especially your son, try to piss people off all the time. Just kind of being on the other end of that. It's just kind of a skill I think I developed. So I think that's.
So what's funny is one of his answers to something was like a rage baiter, and I've never known what that means, and so he had to explain it to me. And so yes, once he explained it to me, I understand how he does know how to push people's buttons. He's very good at it. Yes.
I think one thing I've learned is trust, and to trust in everybody around you, including your teammates and your coaches.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing as Noah. Definitely have trust in your brothers and know that they always got your back.
All right. Can you think of a sports movie that reminds you of the makeup of this team?
I'd say I really liked Remember the Titans. In that movie, it's a little different because it was an older one. But I feel like, they went through some adversity and, bonded together, especially as a team like that, sharing that team bonding. I feel like that was huge for them in that movie. And I feel like that's huge for any team. And I think team bonding is very important for us too, because it builds that trust, that bond with your brothers. So I feel like that's the movie.
I agree. I was going to say remember the Titans too. I think we're all very close with each other, and we can sometimes get off track and we're not always focused. So, but we can always gain that focus right back, and we're close like that.
I'm not gonna lie. I honestly have no clue. I think I was thinking of like Waterboy and like Forrest Gump. Like, I don't really know. I mean, I guess I'd say like the Waterboy or something. The way like, maybe last game the way Brody was running. I'd say Waterboy, but I really have no answer.
Little Giants or yeah. All right. What is the worst practice, drill, or conditioning exercise you don't like doing?
The first week we did sleds was horrible. Or any Rayberries, any conditioning like that. Or actually in the summer when we would do Urban's cone drill and we'd have to bear crawl the whole time, that was miserable. I never want to do that.
Yeah, I agree. The O circuit in general, it was terrible. It was at the start of practice, and no one was really fired up about it. We would always look at the practice plan and be like, is O circuit on there? Is O circuit on there? And we all hoped that it was not on there. So definitely O circuit.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree. O circuit and Mr. Urban's cone drills, those are definitely the worst. Yeah.
All right. Which teammate is the most likely to accidentally say something hilariously inappropriate during a serious team meeting?
Brody Schmidt, for sure. There's been way too many close calls with him sometimes.
Yeah, I was going to say Brody or Loomis, too.
Yeah, I definitely have to say Loomis. I feel like he just says whatever's on his mind.
All right, last one. If you could have a walk-up song for every time you walked into the school cafeteria, what would it be?
I feel like some sort of throwback for sure. Like maybe some Rihanna. I like me some Rihanna, so I feel like they get me going on a good day.
I was going to say maybe 50 Cent or something like some old throwback rap is what I was thinking of.
Yeah, I don't really know. Maybe I don't know. This is a tough question. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe some 50 Cent, like Noah said. Like we always played in the weight room when we were lifting. So I don't know. Maybe that.
I thought one of you would at least do something country. I mean, all the country music you guys listen to, I thought somebody would at least want some sort of maybe throwback Tim McGraw or something like that. Yeah, but all right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us. Congratulations on the first leg of the town, and good luck with JM on Friday night. Go get that W. Let's keep that jug for a whole nother year here at Mayo. But congratulations and good luck. Stay healthy, all three of you. We need everybody that we can keep out there. So thanks for being with us today, guys.
Sir, thank you.
All right, stay tuned. We'll have Coach Holcomb back to talk about the upcoming game against John Marshall.
Spartans on first down here. Right hash, Berger in the shotgun formation as Mason Hinchley in the backfield with him. Here's the snap. It's a handoff to Hinchley. Up the middle, bounces the outside. Ooh, nice block downfield by Yankee, and that's going to spring Hinchley into the end zone. Touchdown, Spartans!
All right, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for joining the Shield. Back with Coach Holcomb here. Just want to thank the three players that joined us: senior leader Lincoln Majerus, senior Noah Hagan, and sophomore Xavier Adams. Coach, once again, always try to get some feedback from you on the guys who join us on a weekly. So what can you tell us about Linka, Noah, and Xavier?
Oh, they're outstanding young men, and it's the neat thing is how much fun they have together and how they get along. I mean, I think that's something I think it's so unique and cool about the Mayo culture is how accepting all the kids are no matter what grade, and they have respect for each other. And so it's neat to see a sophomore and two seniors here together, and they do a great job talking. You can tell from the giggles and smiles that they enjoy being around each other.
Yeah, no, awesome kids, and like you said, it's just really great to see. And you know what I mean? This is only our second year doing the show, and And you started to see, I mean, just from doing the show last year, I even saw, some of that last year with the seniors who were welcoming now this year's senior class. And there was even some kids on the show last year, sophomores that are now juniors. And once again, I think, when that started, I'm not sure. You guys have, been around it longer, but I think that's just something that now is going to continue because it's like you said, it's a culture that's been built to, hey, these guys are coming in, they're part of our team, we're all going to enjoy this together, and they all just do things together and have fun together. And now it's been even fun to see too, is that in the game at Century, and you guys were up with some of these players, like Mason Hinchley gets his first touchdown, and awesome. Everybody's mobbing him on the sidelines.
Mason, Success Lab.
And loving that. And then you get even now we're getting a freshman Duke Bartu in there, and Duke gets his first sack and the whole sideline goes crazy and he gets in during Century. And so it's it's just trickling down now to even, younger kids and just everybody in general realizing we're all here working together, and if they can collectively, do something to help. Once again, I agree with you. I think it's a pretty special thing. So
I'll tell you what though, here's it's not a secret, but the reason they respect each other is because of the off season, because they see these kids putting in the same effort and dedication and commitment, whether they're in 7th grade or a senior. So they already, invite them, respect them, and welcome them, and they've already built it. So that's where they get it from, and then they just have fun when the football starts.
Exactly. So now we're going to shift gears, talk a little bit about moving forward with the Rockets. So we're going in to play JM. It's going to be a home game at 6 p.m. So please mark that on your calendars. It's going to be at Mayo, 6 p.m. All the crosstown games got shifted to 6 p.m. this year. And so please, once again, mark the calendars, 6 p.m. start against the Rockets on Friday. But, Coach, you've been around high school football here in this town for a long time. So you know that this is the longest rivalry in the city. It's been going on for a long, long time. But, just for you personally, I know you didn't graduate from one of the Rochester schools, but you know a lot of people who have. But for you personally, what does the history of this rivalry mean to you?
Well, I feel honored to be able to not only be the head coach of the program in this rivalry, but just to have been invited in when I first started coaching at Mayo back in '99. And when I did, I didn't have a rivalry in high school like this, and I thought it was the coolest thing. So, I jumped on board right away. So, for whatever, 26 years, Mayo's been, engraved inside of me, and all those years of learning what the rivalry was about as an assistant coach and then becoming a head coach. So we're keeping it rich and alive, and we're not rekindling it. We're going to explode it.
Nice. I love it. Once again, now fast forward a week, you now know most of the staff on the Rockets sideline as well. And you've even worked with a lot of them closely, whether it's through Fayed, sharing, lockers, or offices with some of them through Fayed.
We coached a couple at RCTC.
Yes, a lot with track. We've coached some at RCTC. But, once again, so you kind of have that. But tell me about the group of guys that they have over there and kind of what mindset and what they're kind of doing over there with JM.
Energy. That's what I would say. They're built off of energy. Coach Riga, Coach Stanek, Coach Fisher. They're around those kids all year long, and they're young guys too, so they've got a ton of energy, and they can get in there and do the things with the kids too that impresses them and helps them to realize what it's going to do for them if they do that. So they coach with a lot of energy. You'll see that on the sidelines, and the kids will be prepared to play fast and play with confidence.
Yeah, and I think you brought up a good point. There's nothing I don't think people realize that impact of the age. It's nothing wrong with being our age. You're even younger than I am, but there's nothing wrong with coaching. But when you do have that energy, you're a pretty energetic guy. You still have some energy, but it's just different when the kids can somewhat relate, or they're still doing the, social media. It's just, I don't think sometimes as a young coach, I don't know if you ever realized it. It wasn't something that kind of jumped out to me when, I was coaching here in town at 24, 25 years old. And now I'm seeing people, these guys that are now in their 30s, that still refer to me as coach, and I'm sure you get it even more than I do. But I just sometimes think as a young coach, you don't realize the importance to the players
Absolutely.
of what that means to them.
Yeah, like if you and I tell a receiver to do something, they look at you and go, "Oh, really? Let's see it."
Yeah.
But
yeah.
if somebody or Justin Jefferson says this is how
Yeah.
you should do it, they're going to say yes.
Yeah.
They're going to, but no, they're a great staff, and I know they got the kids all bought into what they're doing, and we're excited to match up with them.
And even here at Mayo, like, a coach, like a Coach Lazoya, over at the 9th grade, I mean, I just know those 9th graders love him. It's just they understand it, and he's talked to him so much about playing as a Spartan and what that means and all these other kinds of things. So once again, and if you're listening and you're young and you're thinking about wanting to get into coaching, please do it. It's the best time to do it, and you don't know what kind of impact you're going to have on these young kids. It's a tremendous impact that you could have. So like Coach Holcomb said, they're going to listen to you a lot more than sometimes old guys like us. So as far as the Rockets go, we know that they lost a lot of guys. I mean, they had a ton of seniors last year, and a ton of those seniors contributed, but they still have some talent as well. So talk a little bit about what you've seen from the Rockets so far this year.
I mean, they continue from last year with their quarterbacks play in the same weapon that they're utilizing him on offense for, and then they've got a nice receiver that's, I believe last name's Williams, that's had a nice season so far. So they've got speed and they've got some size up front, and we know JM's always athletic, so they're going to play fast.
We talk about each week that you want to see improvement from the Spartans. That's kind of what we talk about each and every week that you want to see. And we even talked earlier in the show that at times it looks like you're getting there, and it looks like it. But tell me a little bit, after 5 games, so we're 5 games in, is the expectation now that we're past the wanting to see improvement, and
man, this is the hot seat. Is this coming from the TD club? Are you guys putting me on the hot seat? I'm gonna win or be done.
I'm gonna come after you a little.
Everybody makes the playoffs, man. We'll be in the playoffs.
I'm gonna come after you a little bit with this question because once again, being around some of the boys.
The players don't trust me. Is that what we're saying?
Oh my gosh! Can I finish with the question? Can I finish the question, please?
Okay.
All I'm saying is that I hear them a lot say, well,
careful.
Yes, I understand. Thank you. That we're getting better, or we're doing this, or we're doing that. And my response to one certain player,
I get what you're saying,
happened to be, well, at what time is it going to be where just wait till we get better isn't good enough anymore?
Yes, good enough isn't good enough.
It's you need to be performing at a certain, you need to expect that you perform at a certain level. And now it's just not, well, wait till we get to that level. We're through 5 games now. And so the question is like, we always, you kind of use the Corvette analogy, and it's like, either we need to say that the Corvette's never going to make it to 5th gear, or we need to maybe start driving like some other halfway fast car. But you get what I'm saying. I mean, we're joking a lot about it, but I know what the answer is going to be, so it's kind of a rhetorical question. But the whole thing is when is the expectation that we're performing at our top gear, and not just wait till we get to that top gear and see what we're going to be like when we get to that top gear?
Well, just so you know, we got a 2-car garage. So we got another vehicle. We're not one-dimensional anymore. And we've had to figure that out. So we've had to make some changes. And, I mean, the thing, too, if you think about it, you come into the season thinking you're going to be able to continue off of what you did last year but do it better. But you don't have the exact same team. So maybe that's truly not what you're going to do the best. And I think we've found that out. But at the same time, if we catch the ball, I mean, we're scoring touchdowns right away in games. So maybe we have a different outlook. But we have the same explosive team. We just have to do what's best to put our team in a position to succeed early and maybe take more risks later.
So part 2 to that question then is
what was even the question? Because you asked me.
Well, I just said, when is the expectation going to be?
Now,
okay.
Like, get it? It was the first day we're allowed to practice with them. Yeah, are you kidding me? You want me to get mad on YouTube
No, I don't want you to get mad. I'm just saying I was going to push you a little bit just because, once again, it's just I want everybody to know that the expectation is
to win them all.
Not even, but to have, to go back to the car analogy, to have the Corvette going at top speed at all times. That's the expectation. The expectation is not wait until we get the Corvette going. It's we should have had it at top speed in these first 5 games, and sometimes it just wasn't. Yeah. So that's kind of what I was getting at, is that the expectation's never been just wait and see. The expectation is we always want to be performing at that high level. So that's what I was trying to get out of you,
when we get there, I'm going to ask my mom if I can drive it here. But there's no way when the roads start to get bad, so we got to do it sooner than later.
Or how about the car that we drove during the
yeah, that's true too.
All right, so part 2 to that question. This is going to be a little bit easier. So what are some of the areas that the Spartans can get better at going into the JM game? What are the
discipline, penalties, the late hits, that kind of stuff that cost us. Special teams stunk as far as having guys ready that needed to come in as backups, or how we communicated they needed to come in, so we were short guys on special teams. Those things look at it when we went for it on 4th down. We thought we had our whole offense there during the timeout talking about the play, and then we only had 9 guys. And then we had 10, and then we just had a random guy that took one for the team and ran out. And luckily our 9th grader's a really smart and athletic kid, and he turned to him and said, "Hey, there's no play, so don't jump." So, we got to fix that.
Yeah.
That's not championship caliber stuff. But yeah, just cleaning up some things and making sure that we don't wait to do it in the second half.
Awesome. Love to hear it. Well, Coach, as always, thanks for taking the time to talk about the Rockets. It's going to be I think a great atmosphere at Mayo this week, and with everything that goes on even at Mayo just in general, it's going to be a sweet time. So don't forget 6 p.m. on Friday against the Rockets. And also, if you want to sponsor or help out with the show, please hit us up either on our email address or on the Forgiving link. We would love any help, and look forward to seeing everybody out there Friday night, 6 p.m. Jeff Whitney Stadium. Come out and watch the oldest rivalry in the city.
Also, it is Cancer Awareness Night that we're promoting on behalf of the Minnesota Football Coaches Association.
Okay.
So our dance and cheer team will be going around for some donations at some point during the game.
Awesome. Love to hear it. Once again, everybody, thanks for joining us here on The Shield. On behalf of myself, Rob Cawthorn, the host, head coach Donnie Holcomb, and the main man Bodie behind the camera, we want to thank everybody for watching this episode of The Shield. Go Spartans. Hands out.